This is the city that built up around the little inn/guard tower that you guys established in the first campaign. And during the epilogue of the campaign, Eric began building a cathedral, and as you guys established relations with more and more factions around Trennis and grew in power, you eventually made the area prosperous. Eldov used his fantastic fire magic to split the earth and create a river, bringing ships far inland to where your outpost is. You have strong ties with trading posts and civilizations across the ocean and in the Underdark and other places, and it became very, very prosperous, which means it's also very, very young. Hold on, I gotta get my list of, like, NPC names and things here. The political leader of the town is Duke Donbrick. And the religious leader in the town is High Priest Eric, the High Priest of Osprey. The 4 archways in the town that bridge the river were named after important aspects, important characters and themes from the first campaign. So this is really the logical extension of you guys reaching monumentally godlike levels of power at the end of that campaign.
We got our own city.
Yep.
Okay, well, some of them were named after important people.
Yeah, Adric was one of them. And
Yeah,
Wilgelm the Bald is another one.
Right.
And one other person. I can't remember who, though.
Nobody important.
Yeah, right.
So you got to meet Teenbrick Spannermaster
Mm-hmm.
in the town, who owns a Gnomish library. There's a very large Gnomish population here. The young acolyte that approached you that tells you that the one you want to speak to is Grandfather Zook. And he explains why there's a large Gnomish population in the town. Not only because of strong ties you have with this underground Gnomish civilization that lives underneath the mountains off to the east, but also because Zook maintained very strong ties with his own Gnomish clan back on his homeworld, and had married into a Gnomish clan here on Trennis in the forest up to the north. So you've got a lot of forest gnomes and deep gnomes intermingling and interbreeding here in this city.
That's what I was about to ask, is if there are deep gnomes here.
There are. Not as many as there would be going into the mountains and underground, obviously. A lot of the Sverfneblin, I know how the word's spelled, but I can never pronounce it. Sverfneblin. I always want to say Smurf, and I always have to stop myself.
I think Smurf Nifflin actually I like way better.
Stop stopping yourself.
One.
So there's not like a Sverfneblin like neighborhood, like a Chinatown situation here in Blue Worm. The deep gnomes that live here are either those who are not acclimated to Underdark society, like second generation gnomes who migrated away, or they're here to kind of maintain trade and political relations with those Underdark nations. Because another thing that Terran especially did after the first campaign was go into the Underdark and destroy this whole Illithid blight that I wanted so badly to turn into an adventure, but just never never got around to it.
Never happened.
I think it was the known policy of the company that the Underdark was a bad place to be.
12 years ago, in Blue Worm, Grandfather Zook presided over the city as its duke, and one day he hopped down off of his chair. He clapped his hands together, said, "That's it, I'm done." Walked over the arch, grabbed a scant amount of personal equipment, and then walked into the woods. And that was it. He had passed on rulership to one of his grandnephews or some such.
So not Donbrick, so it's been a few through a few hands besides him?
No, Dawnbreak is the one who took over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this was only 12 years ago, which means that Zook presided over the city for a very long time.
Oh, Donberg's a gnome. See, that's
Yes.
I'm sure none of us have been assuming. Okay.
Yep, Dawnbreak.
No,
is
I
a-
was assuming that.
Oh, okay.
I
How
assumed
long
it
do
as well.
gnomes normally live for?
They're more long-lived than humans, but I'm not precisely sure by how much. I'm sure the PhD
Okay.
has that information.
Yeah, I'm being lazy.
The longevity that is so unnatural for Eric and Khalil would probably not be unnatural for Zook.
Okay.
That's
what
why
I was
Zook's
getting
not
at.
an asshole.
Very possible. The acolyte of Osprey, the little gnome that's telling you to see Zook. He brings you back to the woods where that archway was formed. And he hands Riot a small white bag that feels like it's filled with sand. And he tells you that under no circumstances can you get this sand wet.
Gotcha.
After you pass through the crossing to the land where Grandfather Zook now resides, if you lose this sand or it becomes sodden, you will not be able to return.
Gotcha. And I'll put it away in one of the special pouches in my pack.
Okay? He explains that it was Zook's intention when he left Blue Worm to leave it behind him and go live out the rest of his days in the forests beyond the door. But that he left instructions on what to do with this sand with a couple of his young relatives in Blue Worm in case a day of catastrophe ever arrives. He says some words in Gnomish as he sprinkles a small quantity of this sand over this archway that's made with tree roots. And you see the roots that coming up out of the ground split apart. So there's no longer an archway. And they start to kind of wave back and forth, swirl around each other into a new configuration. Where instead of an archway, they form kind of a double helix. As it does this, the ground under the roots becomes soft. It caves in slightly until it makes a very small hole, something that a gnome would have difficulty squeezing through. And he looks a little apologetically at Kelian and Serenity, who are both 16 feet tall. And he says that they'll have to make do as best they can. Once they're on the other side, he doesn't know where they should begin looking.
I'll ask him on the other side to get back. Is there a command word, or is a sand enough?
No, he teaches you the command word, the
Okay.
words in Gnomish.
Gotcha.
But he says without that quantity of sand, there will be no coming back.
Okay.
And then he bids you good luck. What's next?
I'm trying to see if I'm able to polymorph more than one creature at a time. That's a higher level spell, but it doesn't look like I can.
I could just cast Pass Without Trace on us and hope that if Serenity knocks over some horrible dirt, it'll just clean itself up.
Yeah, it looks like Serenity and Kelian could shoulder their way into this hole, but only with great difficulty and like we're probably popping joints out of place temporarily to fit their
Yeah.
shoulders through, that kind of thing.
Well, that sounds right horrible.
Could be worse.
How
What I
far
could-
down is it? Like,
Not sure.
Does
The
it
hole
widen
is
out?
unnaturally dark when you look down. After a few,
I'm asking the gnome.
oh, you ask him how far down it goes.
Yeah.
He says he's never
Or
been
if
on
it
the other
widens
side.
out. Okay.
He tells you that it's all he knows is it's a magical hole. It takes you. He doesn't know where it leads. Zook knew about it and was very secretive about it for a lot of years.
Yeah, I don't think I can polymorph you both at once, so let's get you down there.
So you're going to polymorph one of them so they have a more comfortable ride through the hole?
No, because it's a concentration spell. I can't do it to both.
Okay. So who do you
So-
love more?
Serenity.
Man, without even thinking. I mean,
What if-
fair enough, but
And then I'll tug on this rope when I'm through to a point that it's wide enough that you can drop the spell and put it on Kelian.
Okay. And
Right.
I will polymorph you into a badger.
All right, everybody hold on to your PC.
Oh god, it's another Hexcrawl.
oh, I didn't hold on to my PC.
It's more hexagons.
I could just.
Oh, loading complete.
Nice.
I got it. I'm good.
Yeah.
Unlike Krigala, this didn't destroy my tabletop.
The Vanishing of Ethan Carter 4K sunset background.
I actually really
Oh,
like this
okay.
background. It's really nice looking. Like
It was kind of
nice,
nice.
nice and foresty, right?
This is nice.
You go one direction, there's a nice sunset out there, like
This is so peaceful,
right,
and because it's like a horrible circle, it kind of reminds me of Abduction.
right.
I have a single highlighted hexagon on my screen, and it's just frustrating the hell out of me.
I just have the one that doesn't have a cover over it.
Yeah.
No,
There
on
shouldn't
mine,
be any
this-
that are highlightable.
Oh,
That one is highlightable to me.
yeah. I've
That's
got. There's no black piece over this one that I put the marker on.
Well, that's because that's where you come out of the hole.
That's what I assumed. Okay.
Yeah.
So Badger Serenity goes down the hole with 50 feet of rope in her mouth. Does she make it to a wide enough point that
As soon as you break the plane of this hole, as soon as your whole
Uh-huh.
physical form is down into the hole, instead of, I mean, you feel a very familiar sensation of gravity flipping over.
Okay.
Breaking the plane of the hole, you're no longer like digging down into it, but digging up out of it. And you come up out of a very large clearing at the edge of this vast, vast forest. Looking off to the east, the west, and the south, it looks like plains rolling out in front of you. In your immediate vicinity, you can see many, many tree stumps. It looks like this place has been logged pretty thoroughly.
all right, I'll give 2 tugs on the rope after I'm through.
The weather here is fairly cold, as though autumn turning into winter. Other than that, it is a beautiful sunny day, very little cloud cover, and you're in this just very rugged woodland area. And whoever's holding the rope on the other end feels the tug.
Okay. I say, all right, Kelian, your turn. Unfortunately, I don't think I can cast it again.
All right, yeah. Kelian will shove his way on through then.
And you watch as Kelian very painfully scrapes his way down into this hole. And surrounding on the other side, you see his face and shoulders emerge, and he reaches up and muscles through and pulls himself out into the clearing where you're standing.
Kelian mutters some curse words, pops his shoulder back in his joint.
I'll go through
Hello.
next.
Okay.
Mahogany wiggles his way down into the hole.
Did you turn into an earthworm first?
No,
Why not?
because I really want to turn into like a fire elemental or something.
All of us are so disappointed in you. Who's next?
Okay.
Allons-y. Oh. I was gonna go next.
You got it the easiest.
Riot goes
Yeah.
through next, and she's the only one who doesn't get her clothes dirty.
And yeah, just slip on through.
And Liberation decides, you know what? I'm just going to go back to the inn. You guys...
Yeah, this is a guy named Drinking. I'm gonna get to know this.
Yeah, we should have brought him.
So, here are the Hexcrawl rules. You're still going to be moving in 8-hour blocks. You have to decide what your pace is going to be, 1, 2, or 3 hexes over a period of 8 hours. During that time, you can designate one person to be your scout. That person can make their navigation check to scout one of the adjacent hexes that you're not traveling to, but you get to see what it is anyway. As you go, I'll be making random encounter checks. There will not be insane... There are 2 big differences. One, there will not be insane weather checks as often because you're not on the Beastlands. And there will not be all different kinds of terrain. This is just a very large woodland. It does feel that you're still on the prime material, but something feels very, very off to all of you. Because you are planners, just being on the prime material feels a little different than you're used to. The prime material plane is not as vivid, not as focused as the outer planes that you come from.
Yeah, we've been on plenty of outer planes, and this doesn't feel like that.
It doesn't, but it also does. It looks and smells and like the weather, the sun, all of these elements look like the prime material, but something's very strange.
Okay. Who's doing that?
Am I?
Somebody's got a badger in their microphone.
Am I able to use my background feature to forge?
Yes.
While we're traveling. Okay.
Yes, that's you will not be in any danger. So let me just grab my Hexcrawl rules here. The way it works is you will tell me what direction you want to go and what pace you want to keep. Your pace, if you are moving at a slow pace at 1 hex per 8 hours, navigation will be very easy. If you move at a faster pace, 3 hexes per 8 hours, you will each gain 1 level of exhaustion at the end of that day.
You want to go 2 hexes again like we did before?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
Serenity...
This would be like a grueling pace in Oregon Trail terms.
Right. Serenity is not able to be the navigator because she is going to spend that time foraging. Somebody else is going to take the role of actually leading the party, and I'm actually going to make a note of what your typical marching order is, and then some other person can be your scout if you indeed want a scout.
I think
What do we
I
need
was
to be
the
a scout? What do we need to be a scout? A good.
It's a navigation check, I believe.
There's
There is no
navigation.
navigation
There's
skill.
not, yeah. There's like nature and survival, but there's not a navigation
I
check.
think we used the navigator's tools check last time. Failing
I'm
that,
pretty sure-
survival would
for
also
navigator
work.
maybe. For scouting, we use survival because I know because I did.
Okay.
I would allow either survival or nature for this.
Well, I suck at both of those. I'm only a +2.
I'm fine in
Good at
survival.
survival. I can be a scout. I can also move really fast if I spot some dudes. So I mean, that's probably
Yeah,
good.
why don't we make Mahogany the scout then?
Okay.
Yeah, that's
He
what we
did
did last
he
time.
did a pretty good job last time.
And what is the marching order for the other 3 of you?
I'll be in front.
I'll be in the back.
Yeah.
Kelian in the middle.
Well, Serenity's going to be doing foraging for a lot of this time.
Oh, okay, so she'll just be out of the market.
Yeah, I think he was asking.
Riot,
Yep, yep.
Kelian, and I guess Liberation's going to just float overhead?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how we do.
All right, which direction are you going to strike out?
Let's go this way.
Sure.
Okay. You strike out through the plains and reach the other edge of them. It looks like the area that you entered into was, like I said, very, very thoroughly logged. A lot of tree stumps. Looks like some kind of civilization has taken the trees in the area. And it takes you the better part of the day to reach the western edge of the woods, which is right about here. And then beyond that, you're going into very, very dense foliage. Go ahead and make a navigation check, Mr. Mahogany. And what animal are you turning into?
I'm actually not turning into an animal for this. I'm using Longstrider. Because my thinking is that if I spot anything that's real fucked up, I'm going to use an earth element or some sort of elemental form to get back here. And that uses all my wild shape.
Okay, so let's...
So I'll mark my Longstrider uses, don't worry.
Let me describe what you're seeing, and you tell me whether or not it's fucked up. As you're moving, there is a gargantuan ball of fire in the sky that moves across the sky in a way that corresponds to the time of the day. And as it moves, it gets darker until it disappears entirely.
Listen, we saw that in the other Prime. And yeah, it was fucked up, but at least I finally know what that symbol in my Druidcraft spell means.
So, from this tile that you've reached now,
Yeah.
you can scout one of the adjacent tiles. Just tell me this one here. And unsurprisingly, it happens to be more forest.
Yeah.
Now,
Rickard, every time you say that we're on the plains, I keep thinking, well, yeah, we're always on the plains. This is plains.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to it, so...
by the time Mahogany long strides back to camp, a sudden and very violent thunderstorm rages. Somebody throw me a d20.
I got it.
Done. Okay.
Got ourselves a 3.
I need everybody to throw percentile dice.
Everybody?
Everybody.
Okay.
You want a 3 or higher.
Wait, 3%?
Yes.
Yes. I rolled 5 and a 5 on both dice, so I was like, okay, is it 55 or 55?
Got a 31.
Okay.
That's a 3.
99.
55.
I got 37.
Wait, you got a 99?
I did.
Good thing weren't going the other way on that.
Always roll high. We're not in limbo anymore.
This thunderstorm is incredibly violent, and it strikes at a part where you're coming through a more clear area in the woods than when you first entered them. The storm rages for 11 hours, during which time it's impossible to take a rest.
And Riot asks, is this a problem? You guys having trouble with the storm?
No.
And Mahogany will respond, Riot, do you want
Yeah?
to cast weather control?
More than anything.
Riot, this storm is bothering me more than any storm has ever bothered me in the past.
Alright, then let's do this. You guys control weather.
And you're casting this from the fork, yes?
Yes. I've never cast this spell before.
Well, not only did you not have the fork when you were on Kriegala, but it would not have
Right.
worked anyway.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been anywhere else where like controlling the weather would have been possible or helped.
Peacelets just replies, no.
Oh, isn't that cute?
Okay, so find the current condition on the following tables and change its stage by 1 up or down. Right now you are experiencing torrential rain, the temperature is cool, and the wind is a strong wind.
Yeah, let's see. Let's bring this down to a 4 on the precipitation scale.
Okay?
And that takes me a while to happen, and then once that happens, I can change it again.
So is it your eventual goal to abolish the rain entirely?
No, just bring it down to a level where we can make camp.
Okay. So due to Riot's diligent use of the Kodrashi Fork, you all avoid taking a level of exhaustion.
Cool.
Except for Riot.
Except for Riot?
Because casting a spell from the fork confers 1 level of exhaustion.
It does?
Yep, that's what you told me.
Neat. I'm just not used to having players that write down all that information on their character sheet.
Because this is an 8th level spell. Riot casting this from the fork takes all the charges and 1 level exhaustion.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is 8th level. Wow, I gave you a magic item that lets you cast an 8th level spell. I'm a really generous
Okay,
DM.
but it's control weather.
The point is, it works.
Yeah. Let me check one other thing, though.
Sure.
This will take a little moment. I'm trying to remember if Lehman's Tiny Hut is also a concentration spell.
I don't think so.
It is not. Okay, so I can also do that as a ritual.
And you put up the tiny hut. And does everybody take the full long rest?
Yeah.
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 Sure.
So you'll get your exhaustion back, right?
Yeah. It'll be fine.
If we don't get horribly interrupted in the middle of the night. Stop rolling dice. Stop.
That's me. I have to roll these dice.
And what direction do you strike out in the next day?
Keep heading the same direction then?
See, no reason not to.
One direction's as good as another. We don't have divine guidance or anything.
Onward and forward.
What kind of food am I hunting here? What kind of game is there?
The standard forest stuff. You're finding rabbits, there are deer, all different kinds of wild plants.
Dinosaur.
No shortage of fresh water. You're crossing creeks and streams and things. Very dense ecology all throughout the woods. After a few hours, continue your march in this direction. Riot, Liberation, and Kelian. Which of you have the highest passive perception?
Mine's 16.
Mine is also 16.
Either one of those two, minus 13.
And which of you is carrying the most gold?
Probably me.
Almost certainly him.
Understand that I'm asking specifically who is carrying the most gold.
Yeah.
I have
no.
60 pieces of gold on me.
Oh, really? I have 82.
Well then.
And,
I have-
and one
I have,
cent.
I have 49, and I don't know how I let that happen. But here we go.
This is weird.
I used...
Right, I have the most gold.
Wait, is most gold anyone or among those party?
No, just those three.
Okay.
I do... I had a lot of fun planning the encounters for this because I used almost exclusively the Volo's Guide to Monsters
Oh boy.
and the 2nd edition Monsters Manual. Liberation.
Hey.
Make a wisdom saving throw.
Uh, 21. 22.
As you're marching through these thick trees, the canopy never gets so dense above you that you can't see the clear sky above you.
Okay.
It's a quite pleasant woodland to walk through, although you do see the signs of dangers, the wild animals that live in the forest. Every so often you see signs of civilizations, like snares that have been tripped. You find like animal bones that you will discover in a trap that has been placed by some kind of forest creature, and that gives you the information that there are intelligent creatures in these woods as well. But as you're walking and drinking all this information, you find your eyes continue to drift into the air, and you realize arcing overhead is a beautiful rainbow. So Riot and Kelian, you notice at several points in the day, Liberation, you kind of have to reorient him. He kind of seems to be daydreaming and looking up, and he'll take a few steps in the wrong direction off towards the south.
Snap my fingers a few times.
And
What? Hey, that's rude. Don't do that.
Better to be rude than to get hopefully off track.
Hey.
You almost
You
ran
see
into a
that?
tree there, buddy.
You guys see that up there?
It's disgusting. I'm trying not to look at it.
I don't know. I think it looks
And-
kind of neat.
in the sky, neither of you do.
Funny trick of the light.
Okay.
It's like Moonbeam, but it's not damaging us. Where are we scouting on this hex, Mr. Mahogany?
Alright, what, how do you mean?
Which of these tiles are you...
That one. And I've changed up my scouting techniques.
Already? We've only been playing for like 30 minutes.
Dude, I'm a cipher. Calm down. The most fun and bullshit way of scouting seems to be to use an elemental's ridiculous speed to travel a lot of ground really quickly, and then take an hour to rest afterwards.
This will confer you no mechanical benefit in the Hexcrawl rules.
I don't want mechanical benefit. Do you think that's what I'm looking for with this character?
He wants the bullshit.
We should have. You should know this by now.
That evening, as you guys make camp, get the tiny hut set up, and this is the freakiest thing I've ever seen. My dog is sitting on, he's just staring at a blank spot on the wall.
Go outside?
There's nothing there.
Go outside.
Maybe he sees a ghost.
Go outside.
Sees a ghost. Liberation.
Hey.
Sitting in the tiny hut. The walls of the tiny hut are transparent from the inside. You guys can see out. You guys can't affect anything on the outside, but you can see and hear what's going on around you.
Right.
And Liberation and only Liberation, you are hearing... It sounds like music.
Anybody else awake next to me?
This is
Are they
during
on?
your part of the watch, whenever that happens to be.
I'll nudge Riot with my foot and say, "Hey, you hear that?"
And Riot doesn't seem to respond. She doesn't wake up. She just continues. I mean, I'm assuming Riot is an incredible snorer.
Riot not only like never takes a watch, she just doesn't wake up.
Poke Serenity.
And same thing. You poke Serenity, and she turns over. And this is twice in a row now. You've taken the opportunity to fondle the women in your group asleep in your camp. But no, again, you nudge Serenity, and she just seems to be blissfully snoring away.
Pull out a dart. Step out of the tiny hut.
And you break the plane of the tiny hut, and the music gets louder around you.
Where's it? Which direction is it coming from?
In looking around, you can't pinpoint what direction it's coming from. It seems to be coming from... I mean, you guys put your camp not in the middle of a clearing, but it seems to be emanating from just the trees all around you, somewhere just outside your field of vision. And the music sounds very pleasant. It sounds like a pan flute or something similar, which would be very exotic to your ears in Sigil. And as you're trying to pinpoint the direction of the music, you think that you can smell the delectable odor of freshly baked bread and cooked meat. Again just kind of wafting in from all around you.
No particular direction, huh?
No particular direction.
All right. Last time this happened, some silly shit happened when we were on the baseline. So I don't know.
Oh, did you guys get the Signer Revelry event on the Beastlands?
No, we got the one with the natives that got drunk.
Oh yeah, they were Signers.
Oh.
I remember that now. No, this doesn't actually. It doesn't remind you of that because that sounded like a revelry. It was like they were having their orgy of pleasure Whereas this has a very folksy tinge to it. Like, just out of view, just beyond those trees, there's music and food and merrymaking.
Alright, hell, I'll go. Why not? Still got my dart in my hand.
Okay. You step through the trees. Not far from the hut. Just far enough to where if you look back, you no longer have line of sight to it. It's just sitting just beyond the row of trees that you've entered. And as you're moving away, as you step out of the hut, I should say, it feels very cold around you. The bite of winter that's starting to roll into the forest. With your dart in your hand, but as you break through this row of trees, it becomes much warmer. Like you're coming towards a campfire, and you see that you're approaching an orange glow. And now you have a pinpoint on the direction that this flute music and this smell of food is coming from. And it's getting louder, and the smell is getting stronger as you approach.
Still on my guard, but keep going.
And after you break through the next row of trees, you see a fire. And laid out next to it is like a large blanket with a spread of what looks like very tasty foodstuffs. Next to it is a cask of ale that's been tapped. And you see tiny creatures playing flutes, dancing around, clapping their hands, merrymaking, enjoying each other's company. And they're tiny. They're smaller even than gnomes, which would be the tiniest humanoid that you've probably dealt with. They're wearing bright green clothes, hats, and shoes, and exactly 30% of them have beards.
I saw that tweet of yours, Rick Road. That was a great tweet. But anyway, call out to him. Hello?
And you call out to them, and several of them look up, and one of them reaches down and grabs up a handful of these piping hot rolls. One of them grabs a mug, fills it overflowing with ale, and they dance over to you, and they usher the food into your hand and begin dragging you towards the fire.
Hey, easy now. Just seeing what all the commotion was about.
Do you join the creatures in their merrymaking?
Sure. Eventually.
The beer is very, very heavy, and the food is delectable. And you feel that your defenses are lowering around these people as you're learning their songs, as you're drinking in their music.
Hell, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's party.
Okay. The rest of you wake up the next day, and Liberation is not with you in the tiny hut. He was supposed to have the watch, and apparently he disappeared at some point during the night.
Of all the people I would think would be more careful, it would be the guy who we can't raise.
We're in the hut,
Does
right?
anybody know how to track somebody? Or did we get a full long rest?
Yes, you did.
Okay. That's garbage.
I could find him. I would know his smell anywhere.
Alright, lead the way. We gotta get him back.
So does Mahogany wild shape into a bloodhound? Where is this going?
No, bears can smell.
Well, so
Listen,
can
I
people.
know the stat block of a bear.
Nodal, I will let you wild shape into a bloodhound if you do the voice of the bloodhound from Lady and the Tramp.
Oh, I don't know that voice. Well, give me a second.
So you're going to... I mean, tracking Liberation is not difficult. I mean, it's easy to find his easy to pick up his scent, his footprints. They just go off a little ways from the camp and disappear into some nearby trees.
But we don't see him there?
Well, right now, nobody's left the tiny hut yet.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's easy to pick up his trail. He wasn't attempting to be stealthy or anything of that nature.
Can I... Mahogany's a bear, right? Or is it bloodhound?
Not yet. I'm
Okay.
neither.
Okay.
We didn't
Well-
need to.
Alright, everyone gear up.
Mahogany looks around, picks up his stick. He's like, I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Alright. Let's go.
Following the tracks, it's less than 100 feet. I mean, you break into the little tree line right around where you guys camped, and then a few feet beyond that, in a very tiny clearing next to what looks like the remnants of a campfire, you see Liberation sprawled on the ground, laying on his back, and his face is covered with dirt. There are broken twigs and discarded leaves and things around him. Who has the highest perception amongst all of you?
I think we all have 16.
All of you have
Yeah.
16?
I think I'm 13.
A little ways beyond Liberation, you see a tiny little face poked up from some bushes, and as soon as it meets your eye, the thing very quickly ducks back down. Then you see movement as it scampers away from the clearing.
I'm gonna check on Liberation. To check him for wounds, see if he's hurt.
There are no wounds. It looks like he's sleeping very soundly. And his face is, I guess I don't know what color his face is by default.
It's red, I think.
Yeah.
Mahogany spent a few years
There-
in single at this point. He knows what makes people pass out in the middle of the woods.
Although I am curious now, Liberation, what physical traits does your Tiefling take on when he is drunk?
I don't think that he would change very much. I mean,
He's one of those drunks, huh?
yeah.
Mahogany shoves his face.
So he's very much a happy drunk.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, you look him over. He doesn't look injured.
Mahogany shoves his face way too close to Liberation's and takes a big sniff. And go, yep, he's wasted.
Does it sound like the rustling that they're running away?
You just caught it for a split second. This little face that ducked in the bush, and then there was some sounds as it scampered away off through the woods.
I'm gonna
Mahogany will
smack.
pick him up and hold him next to Riot. Here, smell him.
Instead of smelling him right, tries to smack him awake.
And you do. And Liberation, you come too. And the first thing you realize is that the inside of your mouth, your tongue, the inside of your cheeks were packed with soil, like you've been eating dirt.
Cough. Spray dirt pretty much all over Riot and Mahogany.
I'm sure they appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, morning.
Wakey, sleepyhead.
That.
We put up a hut for a reason. You're not supposed to leave it.
All right,
There's
before
music.
we pick you up, we need to know: did you bang any pixies last night?
I don't really
Gremlins?
remember.
Chupacabras?
What the fuck is a chupacabra?
He doesn't know.
The Chupacabra are a noble and heroic people. Riot.
But that's all we see in this clearing is just Liberation. And he's like clothed and everything.
Yeah.
Did he? Okay.
It looks like he came out to this clearing last night, ate some dirt, fell asleep.
Hell of a party though. There was booze. There was meat and bread and shit, but guess that isn't a thing now.
Who are you partying with? And why
These
didn't you
little
invite the rest of us?
Because I tried to, but you guys were sleeping like the dead. The only reason I didn't know I knew that you weren't dead was the fact that you were snoring so loud.
I don't snore.
Yeah, you do. You do. You snore very much. But But yeah, no, I tried to wake up Serenity, tried to wake up you, and I was like, I guess I gotta handle this myself, and I did.
All right,
With
Mahogany
gusto.
drops him. He goes, "I'm bored. Let's go."
Yeah.
Liberation.
Hey,
You have no gold.
that's balls. I wasn't the one that had the most gold, though.
No, that
That's
was
fine.
Mahogany.
Yeah.
And he was gone.
He was long striding away. So what's next?
Let's try going south a bit.
Okay.
Or south from my perspective, anyway.
South
don't
sounds
know
like
what
it's
the-
going to be a good idea.
I don't know what the ordinal rules of this table are.
Which of these squares surrounding one of these two hexes are we scouting?
Let's go grab this one.
Go ahead and make the check.
I can roll the dice if I want to.
No.
No, you
7.
can't.
What's that?
7.
Ooh, well, let's see if you get these people lost.
Hey, I can't get people lost when I'm scouting. I can only get myself lost. It's the beauty of scouting.
And after a hard day's march off to the south, camp again for the night. An uneventful day.
Okay.
Let me take a look at my map real quick. Continue on to the south the following day.
Let's go more southeast.
And where's Mahogany scouting?
Let's check this one. Due south.
You got to roll better than a 7, though.
Well,
I don't think he can roll worse than 7, though.
Yeah, there we go.
20.
And which one?
Or 19, rather. This one.
Looking into that area, Mahogany,
Yeah.
the forest begins giving way to wetlands that look like they form off to the east of your position, and you see inhabiting some of these marshlands very violent looking lizard folk.
Okay.
So I need you to make a stealth check.
Alright. Let me see what my dexterity is at the moment.
You don't have to roll particularly high.
Oh, my dexterity is really good at the moment, actually.
Yeah, I imagine there's an air elemental.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's 21.
You're pretty sure they haven't noticed you, but their numbers seem to be significant, and as it looks like they're patrolling the area, as though they're searching for something.
I'm gonna go up into the air above them
Okay.
and try to see if I can spot what they're looking for without them seeing me.
How long do you observe them, and how far do you follow one of these patrols?
Well, I can only do it for an hour,
Okay.
so let's call it 40 minutes.
Okay. They're patrolling towards the south and west. Without communicating with them some way to kind of ask them, and without... You're not close enough to hear their speech anyway. Without communicating with them in some way, you wouldn't be able to learn what they're searching for. They don't find it in that 40 minutes, and if you continue to follow this patrol, you'll be putting a lot of distance between you and your party.
Yeah, I think I'm going to head back in order to tell them at least what's going on.
So Mahogany returns with the report of lizard men patrolling off to the south.
Yeah, I'm actually curious. What languages does Kelian speak?
Alien speaks Common and Celestial.
Okay. Alright, then yeah, that's what happens.
And I don't think we ever determined which dialect of Celestial it was.
Well, that's all just God-bothering.
So it sounds like we want to steer clear of that.
Well, not necessarily. What if they're
You
looking
think-
for a Zook?
Then I think we better find him first. if there are as many and as angry as they sound like.
Yeah, no fooling.
Does this change how you put up your camp tonight?
We might want to go one more square up to the northeast to get some distance between us and these lizardmen.
So you want to move a third square for today?
What do you guys think?
It's not a.
I mean, that's my
bad idea.
suggestion. That's not
That's
like
probably a good
I'm not
idea.
saying that's what we're doing, but
It's probably a good idea.
I think that's a pretty good idea.
Okay.
okay.
So everybody take one level of exhaustion.
Yep.
And does it have an effect on how you camp, or do you still just plop the hut down next to some trees and call it good?
How far did you have to follow them before you found more of the Mahogany?
They were basically everywhere, right?
You saw several different patrols, and you chose to follow one that was moving off towards the south and west. And you followed that patrol for about 40 minutes. And in that time, they didn't deviate from their course very much. Lizard men have a better ability to kind of just carve through natural terrain. Like, they don't have to deviate around natural environment the way that, like, humans would in the same woods.
Okay.
So you got to the point where if you had followed them anymore, you would have put too much distance between you and the group.
Yep.
I'm not great at hiding my camp, but we've had some success with it in the past. Keelan, you want to give it a shot? I mean, I can make the hut the same, like a color that blends in with the background, and then Keelan can do what he can do to camouflage it further.
Yeah, sounds alright. I think the last time we did this, you had me make a stealth roll.
Deception.
Deception?
Yeah.
I'm good at that too. So, do I roll it at disadvantage because of the exhaustion?
Yes.
Okay.
It is an ability check.
Because we'll be exhausted until morning.
So I'm picturing Riot and Kelian having a long codec conversations about the merits of camouflaging your hut.
So 29
29 with the
with
disadvantage.
disadvantage.
Yeah, that's pretty baller right there.
You managed to conceal the hut using natural foliage, and you find a place that is particularly well shaded. You're pretty sure that unless somebody was actively seeking you, they wouldn't be able to find it. But you still have pretty good sight lines out in several directions.
And even then...
So I will promise not to wander off again tonight.
All right. You do it a second time, and you realize we're going to be tying you to us.
Alright, just to be clear, I make no such promises.
Why don't you just rest the whole night and someone else be the lookout?
Okay.